So I had just posted a video on some new leaks of the new Tesla Model YL, the longer version with 6 seats. It is much bigger, there's more headroom and everything. And just a few hours later, Tesla actually fully released the car over in China. So that video is kind of weird now, and I wanted to go over everything we now know about the new Model YL. We now have some nice videos from Tesla on these different features, the nice improvements that we're going to see. So let's talk about it. Now, I don't know if they released that information in response to the leaks or the timing just kind of worked out the way it did, but it was kind of strange that we had these leaks and then about 24 hours later, even less than that, the car is fully released. So I'm going to go through just kind of general information about the vehicle, and then we're going to go row by row. So we'll do the exterior, front row, middle row, and back row and talk about the new cool features. Overall, this thing is looking awesome. If this had been an option when I was picking my Model Y, I definitely 100% would have picked this version over the one we bought. But we had no idea this was coming. It is what it is. That's how releases work. And that's why Tesla probably doesn't like leaks so much, because it makes people like me who are looking to buy the vehicle go, wait a second, maybe I'm not going to buy right now because this other thing could be coming. If there were any hints of this, I and many other people may have kept waiting to purchase the vehicles that they did, and then maybe we see a deal for something else from another manufacturer, and we go, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to get this now, I'm sick of waiting. Now the price in China is equivalent to $47,000 US, which is pretty crazy considering that's very similar to the long-range Model Y over here in the US, but in general, prices in China tend to be a little bit less than we have over in the US, so we can expect this to come in around $50,000 or maybe a little bit more than that, and this isn't going to be here until the tax credit is gone. So who knows how Tesla is going to shuffle up prices or what they're going to do. But as of now, I would expect the price to be somewhere in the $2,000 to $4,000 range, more than what we're seeing over in China. I guess I should add with these predictions, there's no 100% certainty that it's coming to the US, but I don't see why not. And the US vehicle releases, at least for the last few, like the Model 3 refresh and the Model Y refresh, have trailed China by 2 to 3 months or so. So I would hope we see this vehicle in the US probably by January or in January, something like that. It has a 466 mile range on China's CLTC cycle, but that cycle is way more optimistic than the EPA cycle. You know how a lot of people complain they get their Tesla or any electric vehicle over here in the US and it says 300 miles of range, but really realistically they only get maybe 280 or 270, of course depending on conditions. Well, I don't know what is going on with the cycle over in China, and even the one in Europe is a little more gracious than what we have over here, but this is very similar to what the Model Y is already advertising over in China. So the battery and all of that, it seems like is exactly the same. Peak charging is still 250 kilowatts, so I would expect the range to be pretty similar to what we have in the Model Y already, but probably just slightly less. The white interior is already sold out, which is pretty crazy. The exterior has a new Starlight Gold color, which actually looks kind of nice, but almost looks like a little brownish. I'm not sure. Paint usually looks better in person, so I'm sure it looks fine. It also has a staggered tire setup, which I absolutely hate. This makes rotating tires not possible. It makes changing tires if, one is bad. If you get one flat, or you just need to change one tire or whatever, it makes things really weird and complicated. This is more like a performance car thing and a higher upper end car thing. So I get why they did it. It's for comfort and performance and all of these things. But overall, if I get a car with staggered tires, I just make it a square setup pretty much immediately, because it just makes everything easier and simpler and usually cheaper if you do it that way too. So I'm honestly a little disappointed in that, but I know they wanted the best handling, the best ride feel and everything. So I get why they did it. Of course, the vehicle overall is longer. That's the whole point of it. And it has that flatter roof, so you don't have so much of a drop off on the end. And it does look like from the videos on Tesla's website, this is giving you far more headroom. I also found at least one video from a reviewer over in China who was sitting in the back and showing the headroom and stuff. It looks great, especially compared to our 2023 Tesla Model Y, the 7-seater. Sitting in the back is kind of ridiculous. I'm 5'9" and I can sit up straight in the 7-seater Model Y that we have now, but the top of my head does touch the top of the vehicle just barely. So yes, I technically can fit in there, but no, it is not comfortable. You wouldn't want to be there for a long road trip or anything like that, but I can fit back there for short trips if I need to. With that said, the new Model YL has a flatter roof, less drop off, so you're going to have way more headroom back there. So it seems like an area an adult could actually sit in for longer trips or maybe even a road trip. Now let's hop into the car and talk about the first row. Now overall, there is a black headliner. Actually, it's some pushback in my last video. Of course, that's usually how it goes. If I say something and you agree, you're probably gonna be like, oh yeah, sounds good. You're not gonna comment. But if I say something and you think it's stupid, then you're gonna comment and be like, nah, that was dumb. That's totally wrong. The black headliner, in my experience, looks awesome. And I had some comments saying they didn't like it or they haven't seen it, but they think it would look bad. They think what we have now would look much better. You got to check it out. Let me know, of course. It's totally subjective, but I think that the black interior, the headliner, looks so much better. Now, this is coming from the Cybertruck, and the Cybertruck interior is just massive. There's so much room in there. So maybe in a smaller vehicle, the black could feel a little more cramped, but I think it will look really nice and really premium. So hopping into the first row, of course, you have the heated and ventilated seats, which both the first and second row are ventilated, which is a first for Tesla. Pretty cool. The wireless phone chargers in the front of the car are 50 watts on the left and 30 watts on the right, and there's now a cooling fan. This is huge. I know a lot of people complain about their phones just overheating in their Tesla wireless charger. The Cybertruck especially is really bad for this. It just cooks anything you put in there. It's not even worth charging your phone in the Cybertruck. Although in newer iterations of the Cybertruck, the wireless phone charger did get a bigger and better heat sink. I don't know if this works better or not. I have not experienced it, but I know in the Cybertruck that I owned, it didn't have that improvement and I could not wirelessly charge my phone in there at all. I actually use a Joa wireless phone charger. It seems to work a lot better. I have a link down in the description if you want to check that out and get a little discount for yourself. But I find that secondary phone charger, that wireless charger, works a lot better than the built-in Tesla one. Now with this new wireless phone charger with an active cooling fan that kind of blows out of the side and will help cool off the phones, I think that could be all the difference we really need to make these wireless phone chargers. The screen is also slightly bigger. It is 16 inches due to smaller bezels instead of the 15.4 inches we have now. The refresh of the Model 3 and the Model Y actually already saw the screen slightly, just barely increase in size and look a little nicer due to bezel decreases. So having that happen even more is really great. It probably looks really nice and more futuristic that way. The front seats are also much more comfortable now with number one, a thigh extension. So there's an extra control on the side of the seat, which is so funny because remember them getting rid of the lumbar support in the passenger seat a couple of years ago to save, a few bucks here on every vehicle. Well, now they're adding thigh extensions, which they need a new button for, and they had taken the button away for the passenger lumbar support. So I don't know. It's just funny when these things kind of come and go. But I'm happy to see this. This is huge. It will be very comfortable, a nice improvement. You can adjust that as needed for extra thigh support, which will help on long drives. And then on top of that, there's an adjustable headrest, which is not found in Teslas today. And you can move the headrest up and down to make it as comfortable as you need. Now moving into the second row, this is where the majority of changes start to happen as we move into the second and third row. And we are seeing the second row captain's chairs. These are very nice. I love this setup for a vehicle, even with just two kids. It is such a nice setup to have this because we don't need a third seat in the middle. It gives the kids more space. It can be far more comfortable. And then if they do have a friend or two with them, you can very easily reach the third row by walking through the middle of the two seats. And the third row, once we talk about that in a second, will be much more comfortable and roomy. Now, this Model Y is not any wider than the old Model Y, and so the space between these two chairs is a bit narrow. Now, one of the videos I found online from content creators over in China show that you can move through there even as an adult. You have to kind of do one leg at a time, but it's definitely possible, and you can get through there. Again, this will be better for kids, but if you have this space in the car, you want everyone to be able to use it. Both of these captain's chairs in the middle have a powered middle armrest for each chair. This is a pretty interesting choice. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just put a fixed armrest there. I think it's probably part of the fact that the seats can fold flat with the push of a button, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you had fixed armrests, you wouldn't be able to move them out of the way when you fold the seats flat for cargo or whatever else you want to do. It is a pretty interesting, slightly over-engineered choice. It's very cool. It looks great. And with the push of a button, you can either have that armrest come up or go back down. I am a little bit concerned about all the goldfish that my kids eat getting all over the car, getting into this mechanism. I would guess it's robust enough, but we'll have to see. Hopefully it's pretty easy to open up and clean out if needed. Otherwise, in a few years, this is going to be pretty messy. Now, as I mentioned, the second row also folds flat, which is huge for transporting big cargo, or some people like to camp in there. Now, with the captain's chairs, you're going to have space in between the two chairs in the middle. But if you have a big mattress that you're putting over that, I don't think it's going to affect anything too much. It's kind of a small area that the mattress wouldn't be supported in. I think you'd have enough support from the seats on both sides, but we'll have to see on that one. The way that Tesla accessory manufacturers work, I'm sure if this is an issue, they'll just give you a stick or something with, whatever mattress that you're going to put in there, and everything will be just just fine if people are into that. I've never really done the car camping thing, but I can see how it's appealing. These second row captain's chairs are also ventilated. This is a first for Tesla. Tesla has always put heated seats throughout the entire vehicle because it's so efficient to warm via the seat versus the air warming. So they've always wanted to give heated seats to people so they can, use less heat in the winter and have a better vehicle driving range. Well, the ventilated seats have not come to the second row until now. And this is very cool. Ventilated seats are super comfortable. I don't know if, my kids would really care for that. And the ventilated design, the little holes, again, when we're talking about like crumbs from little snacks and stuff, is not the best. It's kind of hard to clean them out. And even in my 2026 Model Y that I have now, the back seats are not ventilated, but they have that ventilated style just to match, the front seats. And sometimes stuff gets in there and it's kind of hard to clean all of that out. So this is something people have to keep in mind if they're eating in the car, letting their kids have snacks or whatever. It's going to be messy, but hey, it's a car. It's to be used. Just let it be dirty. It's fine. Along with the ventilated seats, there are now 2 new vents in the second row in the pillars to help with air conditioning or heating or whatever to keep everybody in that second row more comfortable. In our experience, it hasn't really been necessary, but it's nice to see. You can move them out of the way or close them, I assume, if you don't want to use them. It's always nice to have more options, though, in case you need that additional cooling or heating. And then this relates to the second and third row, so we'll talk about this here. All of the seats are power foldable up and down. You can control these via buttons on the sides, in the back, on the screen. There's multiple ways. Even in my 2026 Tesla Model Y with the powered rear seats, there's I think 4 different ways that I can choose to press a button and have them come up or down. And it's the same thing with this new Model YL, which is so nice to see. You don't want to be reaching all over the car to manually move these seats if this is an option. And this is very nice. So on the screen, you can fold the middle seats, the back seats. You can fold one or the other or both or all 4 or 3 or whatever you want. And you can also use the physical buttons that are located in the trunk, or they're located on the sides, or they're located on the seats. You have all of these different options as ways to fold these seats. So super convenient and really nice. And then moving into the third row, this would be the star of the show if it wasn't for the cool captain's chairs in the middle. I think the captain's chairs kind of steal some of the spotlight, but hey, you're going to be using those more often than you'll be using the third row. Very rarely are you going to use that third row and not be using the middle, unless, again, it's just some kids wanting to have fun and sit all the way in the back. So it's really nice that Tesla made huge improvements to the middle seats as well, but having this third row is kind of what we're here for. Now, with the longer vehicle and the higher roof, the less roof slope in the back, you are getting not only a lot of legroom, you're also getting really good headroom in the back here as well, even compared to like the Model X. I mean, I'm thinking that in the US, this is going to start, I hate to say it because I don't want people to get too crazy in the comments, but it's almost going to be competing with the Rivian R1S. Now, I realize it's still a smaller vehicle overall, and it's a different vehicle, but it's not that much smaller, and it's not that different of a vehicle, and it is significantly cheaper. And if somebody looks at the R1S and they go, man, that would be awesome, but it's just a little too expensive. And then they see the Tesla Model YL and they go, whoa, this is, $20,000 cheaper, or maybe even less than that. And it still has 6 seats. It doesn't have 7 seats like I kind of wanted, but it has 6. That's pretty good. And whoa, it's got, all these features, and it's a Tesla, and it's got the supercharging network, and it's got the self-driving, and, all of this stuff. I think this is going to be an insanely popular car in the US. But the third row, one of the cool things that I saw on the Tesla China website is the third row actually has airbags in it. Now, I'm sure that a lot of vehicles are getting this when they have the rows, they're putting airbags in all of them. But man, remember when I was a kid, there was like an airbag for the driver and maybe the passenger, and that was it. Like there's one airbag. Now these new cars are filled with airbags. You got them on the sides, in the front, your knees, your feet, your back, you're in the chair. There's airbags. I mean, they're everywhere. So it's cool to see there's also airbags in that third row for additional safety. There's also an additional steel beam back there somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but to increase rigidity and increase safety back there in case of a crash. I know that's always a concern when people talk about the 7-seat Model Y. The first thing people want to say is, what if you get, rear-ended? And those people are gone because they show images of the trunk of a normal Model Y and how it gets smashed in. Well, of course, that's all a crumple zone because people aren't sitting back there. When vehicle manufacturers make a seating area, it's more rigid. They're not going to have that be a crumple zone. And that's always Tesla's number one concern above all else is safety first, and then they move into all the cool and fun features. There are also air vents back here in the pillars, which is great. The current 7-seat Model Y that I own doesn't have any air ventilation back there, so it can get kind of stuffy. You can put the middle of the bench seat down to kind of let some more airflow back there, and that seems to work fine. But for long road trips, you wouldn't want to be back there really, and you'd need a fan or something because there's just not much circulation back there. So it's good to see that Tesla improved that as well. These seats, as I mentioned, are also power folding up and down, which is really good. And then, like I said, that flatter roof is going to give you way more headroom. It looks like adults can sit back here. Again, if you're super tall, you're not going to want to sit back here. But if you're super tall, you're not going to want to sit in a lot of cars either. You're going to want to be, in an SUV or a pickup or something. So you would just sit in the front, or maybe even the middle seats would be better for you. And of course, we have to quickly mention cargo space. Of course, when you have all seats up, there's not going to be as much as if you fold the third row down. That's every vehicle ever made. But it looks like even with that third row up, you have a decent amount of space back there to carry your belongings. And this is where, again, it comes in. I said we only have 2 kids. For a road trip, we would have so much extra space in the back compared to the current 5-seat Model Y due to that extra length, but not needing it for additional passengers. I'm surprised Tesla is even calling this a Model YL. There are so many differences. I almost feel like they could have gotten away with like a different model name or something. I mean, obviously it's very similar to the Model Y. I can see why they called it that. But I think if they had just made a couple of more changes, they could have been like, hey, look, we have a whole new model, and it might have created a little more buzz. I'm not sure if they need that. I think this thing is going to sell extremely well. And if you take the whole Model Y together, the L and the, everything, I think we're looking at another year of definitely like top 3 best-selling cars worldwide. We may be going for that number 1 spot again if Tesla can ramp this one up really quickly. So we'll see. But overall, hope you enjoyed. I look forward to reading your comments down below, and you will see me in the next video.